Alrighty, SY Sports back with another college football video. Finally getting to the SEC talent ratings. And then after this will be the SEC schedule ratings. And then after that, have a few more things to come out. And then it'll be season predictions. So I would expect season predictions. I could probably start dropping them this weekend. Alrighty, without further ado, let's get into it. At number 1, everybody's favorite, Alabama. The rating of 348. Clearly, Alabama, number 1 recruiting class every year except for like 1 year where they were number 2. Okay. Number 2, or 1B, is Georgia with a rating of 343, pretty much right behind Alabama year in and year out. They're the second best, most talented team in the country, and it's pretty obvious if you just look at the rankings without even going through every player. So, Georgia at number 2. Coming in at number 3, it's Texas A&M, the rating of 314. Now, they jumped because of that big recruiting class they just had. So, I guess Bama hasn't finished first every year. Only 2 years in the past, 15 years. But Texas A&M brings in what is considered the greatest recruiting class of all time with 8 5-star players, and that's the main reason why they've jumped. Now, I don't expect their freshmen to impact this season, but going forward, this is huge. So, look out for Texas A&M in the future. Coming in at number 4 is surprisingly Florida with a huge drop-off of 290, which is still really good because 4th place in the SEC talent-wise is number 1 in the Pac-12. So I was very shocked at this because all I keep hearing from Florida, news and stuff, is how bad a recruiter Dan Mullen was. And for this number to be this high, I understand it's the SEC and there's more talent no matter what, but I was expecting it to be way lower. And to still be above the 290 threshold, which is, I think, tied for 10th in the country. It's in the top 10 of the country somewhere. It's close, and it still be top 4 in the SEC. I was expecting him to be a little lower. That's all. Coming in at number 5, is Ole Miss with a rating of 276. Now the rating's about right, 5th place. Maybe the SEC's lower on talent this year. I don't really know. I mean, I do sort of know, but my numbers are a little more accurate, I think, this year than previous years that I've done. Now, Ole Miss did hit the transfer portal pretty well. Ole Miss did hit the transfer portal pretty hard, and if Jackson Dart can, actually be a good quarterback, they'll probably play higher than this rating. But, they're very talented everywhere, but it's just more offense and no defense for Ole Miss. Coming in at number 6, LSU, tied with South Carolina at 269. Now, this is pretty amazing because I figured LSU would always be a lot higher. They've seemed to have just lost a lot since the 2019 run, and they're not backing it up. They're losing a lot to the transfer portal, but Brian Kelly is starting to keep it together and probably will bring it back up. So I wouldn't be too worried about it right now. It's still a good number. It's just odd. It's just low for this. Just low for what you would think LSU would be. Now, South Carolina being at 269 is the complete opposite. It's great. I would expect them to be way lower, but they actually, for how bad they perform, they're actually always a very talented team. So they're pretty close to being one of the most underachieving teams of all time, if not the most underachieving team of all time, because they were good under Spurrier. I mean, they were okay under Spurrier. They had a few good seasons, but they've always been just really talented and just can never win. It's the weirdest thing. Now, they do get Spencer Rattler, and they're coming off a high buzz from last season, so we'll see. Coming in at number 7, it's Tennessee at 261. So pretty much similar to LSU and South Carolina, but a little bit of a drop-off, you could say. I mean, there's probably a few players in there. Tennessee at number 7. Number 8, Kentucky, rating at 257, so similar to Tennessee. This seems about right. I mean, Kentucky's been overachieving for 3 of the past 4 years now, so this seems about right. Coming in at number 9, it's Arkansas at a rating of 256. Now, this seems a little lower, but it's similar to Kentucky and Tennessee. Now, Arkansas was in the lows of the lows when it came to talent a few years ago. I mean, they were just as bad as Vandy. They were the Vandy of the West. You know, it's seeing them at 256 shows that there is improvement. Now, however, did have a very high buzz last year, and I think it'll be very hard to beat that because of the division they play in. So I do expect Arkansas to drop off, but how much depends on how good the division is this year, because I think last year was kind of in a down year, and Arkansas took advantage of that. Alrighty, coming in at number 10, Auburn with a rating of 255, so tied right towards the middle back end with Tennessee and Kentucky and Arkansas. They've just this seems right just because they've seemed to have a lot of off-field issues, and that can affect recruiting. Auburn usually has decent to good quarterback play and always has a good defense, so they seem to play higher than what the ratings are, and I think they'll be better later on down the road talent-wise. I just think they're kind of in a funky spot right now with boosters and the head coaching problems, and it's kind of keeping players away from going to Auburn. Not saying they don't get good players because it's still the SEC, but I just think it's different than it has been in the past. Coming in at number 11 is Vanderbilt. This is awesome. Vandy's on the rise, baby. Also tied with Mississippi State at 253, so also right in the thick of it. Vandy finally not in last place anymore. They actually jumped up quite a significant amount. They had a really good recruiting class last year, but the only problem is they're in the SEC, and when you bring in only 4 4-stars and 23 stars, it's going to still be dead last. So Vanderbilt is on the rise, bringing in more talent. Look out for the Commodores. Mississippi State, I think they're actually losing talent under Mike Leach, but Mike Leach is a better developer than a recruiter, I've always thought, so I'm not too worried about his numbers, and it's year 3 under Mike Leach, and he tends to be very good in year 3 with a returning quarterback, so watch out for Mississippi State. And then coming in at number 12, and it looks like last place, is Missouri with a huge drop-off of 230. Now, this was very, very shocking because you think this is where Vanderbilt would be, but Missouri lost a lot to the transfer portal and just really hasn't recruited that well for being an SEC team. I mean, they've recruited better than I would say Vandy has, but like I've said, transfer portals kind of killed them, and they did lose Connor Bazelak, so they did bring in a couple good quarterbacks. Names are not coming to my head right now, but Missouri, the rating of 230, look for Missouri to kind of drop off this year. So those are my SEC talent ratings. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Like I've said in other talent rating videos, that you can basically kind of assume this just looking at 24/7 Sports composite rankings, but I kind of go into more depth and detail. So without further ado, this is my last talent rating because I'm only doing the Power 5, and I hope you enjoyed it. So please like, comment, share, subscribe, and I hope to see you in the next one. See ya.